They say cities stand on land, but Venice? It floats, not just on water, but on centuries of mystery, beauty, and survival. Welcome to Venice, Italy, a city where every ripple in the canal tells a story, every bridge whispers secrets of lovers and legends, and every narrow alley feels like a portal to another time. Imagine a place with no cars, no noise, no rush of engines, only the sound of water and footsteps echoing through marble walls. A city that rises from the sea, built on wooden pillars that have stood strong for over 1,000 years. But behind the charm and gondolas, there lies a truth few dare to tell. A city sinking, year after year, slowly fighting against time itself. Yet Venice refuses to die. It lives in art, in music, in the hearts of those who wander its watery veins. This isn't just a city. It's a miracle built by dreamers, guarded by water, and immortalized by history. Today, we dive deep into the untold story of Venice, from its rise to glory to its silent struggle for survival. Welcome to City Nova. Let's begin our journey into the floating city of secrets. The story of Venice doesn't begin with palaces or paintings. It begins with fear. In the 5th century, when barbarian tribes stormed across northern Italy, people fled for their lives. They escaped not to mountains, not to fortresses, but to the water. They found refuge in a swampy lagoon where no army dared to follow. And there, among mud and mist, Venice was born. The early Venetians built their homes on wooden stakes driven deep into the soft soil. These timbers, soaked for centuries, turned harder than stone, preserving the foundations of an impossible dream. From the beginning, Venice was a city that shouldn't exist, yet it did. A floating miracle that defined nature itself. As the centuries passed, Venice began to rise, not just above the water, but above the world. It became a bridge between east and west, where merchants traded silk, spices, and secrets. Ships from Constantinople, Cairo, and China docked at its harbors, turning Venice into the beating heart of medieval commerce. Gold glittered in every palace, and the air itself smelled of adventure. But Venice's true power wasn't just its wealth, it was its wisdom. While other kingdoms fought endless wars, Venice built its empire through diplomacy and trade. Its leaders, the Doge, ruled from behind masks of elegance and mystery. Every decision, every alliance, every betrayal was hidden beneath layers of ceremony and silence. Venice learned that power isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers through corridors of marble. The people of Venice lived by the rhythm of the water. There were no roads, only canals that reflected the sky like endless mirrors. Gondoliers moved gracefully through the labyrinth, their songs echoing between ancient walls. Festivals filled the nights with masks, music, and firelight dancing on rippling water. It was a city of art and illusion, where even reality felt like a performance. As the Renaissance dawned, Venice became the world's greatest stage. Artists like Titian and Bellini painted the soul of the city on canvas. Architects sculpted beauty from the sea. St. Mark's Basilica rose like a golden dream, its domes glimmering under the Adriatic sun. The Doge's palace, with its intricate lacework of stone, stood as a symbol of a republic built on imagination. Venice wasn't just a city anymore. It was a masterpiece. Yet, with every masterpiece comes a shadow. Behind the festivals and fortune, whispers of decay began to stir. The lagoon that protected Venice also trapped disease. Floods became frequent. The sea began to reclaim what it once surrendered. The same water that gave Venice life started slowly to take it away. Still, the Venetians didn't stop. They built higher, stronger, smarter. They learned to live with the tide, to fight nature not with war, but with wonder. They created systems of canals, locks, and dams that turned the impossible into routine. For them, survival was not just instinct, it was an art. Through the centuries, empires rose and fell, but Venice remained, a dream afloat between past and future. When Napoleon conquered it in 1797, the people wept not for their freedom, but for their soul. Venice lost its republic, its glory dimmed, but its spirit never sank. Because Venice was never built on power, it was built on belief. Even today, when tourists crowd its bridges and the modern world rushes beyond its borders, Venice feels timeless. The sound of footsteps on wet stone, the echo of a gondolier's song, the shimmer of moonlight on the canal, it all feels the same as it did hundreds of years ago. Venice is a reminder that beauty can survive anything, even time itself. A place that proves you don't have to conquer the world to become eternal. You just have to create something the world will never forget. The city may be sinking, yes, but its story, its magic, will never drown. Because Venice is not just built on water. It's built on dreams. But Venice was never meant to live quietly. The city, though old, never stopped breathing. Every morning, the lagoon glows in silver light, as if heaven itself has poured its reflection into the canals. Fishermen glide through the mist, lovers cross the bridges hand in hand, and the bells of St. Mark's Square ring like the heartbeat of an ancient soul. Yet, beneath that beauty, a silent struggle continues. A battle between man and water, memory and change. In the 20th century, the tides became crueler. The floods, once gentle, turned violent. Every winter, acqua alta, high water, rises, swallowing plazas, churches, and streets. Venetians lift their furniture onto tables, roll up their pants, and wade through the same waters that once carried kings. The sea doesn't hate Venice, it simply wants back what it once owned. And yet, the city stands. It always stands. Scientists warned that Venice could disappear beneath the waves within a century, but Venetians are not a people who surrender. They built a system, a colossal engineering project called Moses, a series of gates beneath the lagoon designed to rise when the tides grow too high. It's not just a defense system, it's a declaration that even if nature roars, Venice will not fall in silence. Still, Venice isn't only fighting the sea, it's fighting time, tourism, and transformation. Every year, millions come to walk its narrow alleys and ride its gondolas. The city that once ruled the seas now feels like a museum, alive, yet fragile. Locals are leaving, the younger generation searching for life beyond the water. Sometimes at sunset, when the crowds fade and the canals grow quiet, you can feel it. The loneliness behind the beauty. Venice smiles, but its eyes remember. And yet, somehow, this melancholy is what makes Venice eternal. Every flake of paint on its walls, every reflection in the canal tells a story of endurance. Venice doesn't need to prove its greatness anymore. It already has. Now, it only needs to be remembered. Because Venice is more than history. It's humanity. It's proof that we can build something breathtaking out of nothing. That art can defy destruction. That water can carry both death and life and somehow still look like poetry. Even the air feels different here. The scent of salt, old stone, and dreams hangs in every corner. You walk through Venice and feel the past watching you, not hauntingly, but lovingly, like a guardian whispering, "Do not forget us." At night, when the lanterns glow over the Grand Canal and the city quiets into reflection, you begin to understand what Venice truly is. It's not a city made for the living alone. It's a city where ghosts and dreams live together. The gondolas glide like shadows over liquid glass. The churches gleam under moonlight, and every drop of water seems to remember something. A kiss, a promise, a secret. Some say Venice is sinking, but maybe it's not sinking at all. Maybe it's slowly returning to where it came from, the sea. Maybe the lagoon isn't taking Venice back in anger, but in love. Like a mother embracing her child one last time. And if one day the waters rise high enough to cover it all, maybe that will be Venice's final act of art, to become one with the water that gave it life. Because even then, the world will remember. Not the way the city looked, but the way it felt. Venice will always be the dream that refused to die. A reminder that beauty, when born from courage, never fades. It only changes form. So if you ever visit, don't rush. Don't see Venice through your camera. Walk slowly. Listen. Hear the echoes of merchants from 1,000 years ago. Smell the salt that carried empires. Touch the walls that have tasted centuries of rain. And when you cross a bridge at sunset, look down. Because the water will look back at you. It will show you not just a reflection of yourself, but of everything we humans have ever built, loved, and lost. That's Venice. A city that lives, breathes, and dreams, even as it sinks. A city that proves that even when the world forgets, art remembers. A city that never belonged to land or sea, but to time itself. This is not the end of Venice's story, because stories like this don't end. They echo, they float, forever. And that's why, even after 1,000 years, when the waves whisper through the lagoon, they still say one name: Venice.